Okay then, pilots and ground crew, this I suppose will be part 2 of this GEPRC elegant frame, the build and the setup of everything. And as I said in part 1, I want to go through as much detail of setting up individual things as I can for new pilots. Right, this as you see, I've already whacked the motors on. I wasn't going to show you that. Right, to get at everything, 4 screws, right, and basically the top bar comes off. Now you can get at, this is what makes this different, the actual bolts you use for putting the top of the frame on is what you actually use for mounting your flight control board and everything. Alright, but once you've got your PDB on the bottom or whatever, right, then you put a standoff on top of that. Right, I'll show you as we go along, but seeing as I'll be using these, I just want to double check I have got these securely tightened down, which I haven't. I thought I only did them loose. I just want to make sure they're nice and tight. Yes, I could come back to it later, but do it as you go. Same as the arms. I know I just put these on loose. Don't go mental when tightening them. You want them tight, but you don't want to snap them. You could actually use a bit of blue Loctite on the thread if you wanted to, but I don't think there's any need for that. Right, I'll just double check this plate here. Yeah, I know the back's nice and tight. Right, now I'm going to remove this side panel, the 2 side panels, just to make it easier to get at. It's only 2 screws on either side, the small screws in the kit. Alright, I'm just going to remove these. Where's my magnet? Like, stick a magnet on my spanner, screwdriver, ratchet, wrench, whatever you want. Hex spanner actually. Yeah, just moving these side panels to make it a bit easier. That's one. Put that over there. Right, I'll tell you now, when I show you the flight control board, because I've already started to wire that up, I've actually done, well, not a separate video, just a separate little add-on showing you the flight control board. Oh, that screw's a bit tight. I might change the screw on that. I didn't like the feel of it. It's one of them that might have just cross-threaded. You know where the spanner goes into the screw? I don't know though. That might just be me. Right, that's that off there. Yeah, when I get to the flight control board, I show you, well, I'll show you that I've wired how I've wired the camera, but I've actually changed that, so don't be shocked. Right, so you've got the 4 locking nuts that you actually put in for the frame, but what you get is some of these little rubber grommets, big thick like spare tyres that go over. Right, and this is for your first bit, for your PDB. Now I'll show you my PDB and everything now. Before I go on to this bit, I'll just talk you through the flight control board and stuff. Just check that's dry. Yes. Right, I've been putting conformal coating on everything, including the flight control board. Yeah, I will mention this. Right, when you see this quick little jump video where I do a close-up of this, right, my cables, I was connecting these power cables here for the camera onto the PDB. I've had to change it because the cables won't reach, and I thought rather than putting an extension on the cables here, I'll simply just take it off the PDB and solder it to the flight control board. Right, yeah, conformal coating, it's a waterproof coating, right, new pilots again, right, waterproof coating that you basically paint all over your electrics and everything. If you've never used it before, please watch the video. Leave a link in the corner. Right, please watch that video first before you start splattering this stuff all over the place, because you have to protect certain things. Okay, but it waterproofs the quad, waterproofs the electrics. Right, now you can't see this very well, right, so let's just have a bit of a close-up. Okay then, let's just take a quick look at the PDB part of this flight control board, the bottom part of the board, shall we say, two boards, the bottom part. Here is where you'd connect up the ribbon cable. Right, there's two little black little tags, you pull them out and you slide the ribbon cable in. Right. However, if for any reason you don't want to use that or it breaks, you have these pads here. Yeah, S1, S2, S3, S4, ground, 10 volts, 5 volts, ground. But what these are basically your signals, right, which will run from your ESCs here. Right, this would be ESC4. You'll have your ground and your plus and your little signal here for your ESC, and these calibrate up to the actual flight control board. If I jump across here, where you would see, you can't really see very well, let's just change that angle around a bit more. There, you can see a bit better now. You can see here, look, where it says S3, and where are we? There, S1, which would be there. So S2, there you go, S4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically that's where you would connect up if you're not using the ribbon cable for any reason. Now when I'm connecting up my VTX, right, I like to connect my power and my ground of my VTX down here. Right, my 10 volts, right, and the ground goes to the VTX, right. And on this side you've got 5 volts and ground for your VTX. Now that's the way I like to do it. Apart from the ESCs, I don't connect anything else onto here. Okay, moving on to the flight control board. Now the flight control board almost speaks for itself. You can't see the underneath of it on this image, but you've just had a look at it. And that's where the ribbon cable would come out and plug straight into the bottom part, the PDB. But on here, right, you've connected your ground and your lav for your VTX, right? And you basically, if I find the VTX section, we're upside down again, I think here. Hang on, I'll find it in a minute. That's the buzzer. That's the right, let's turn it round. Come on, where's the VTX? Can anyone spot VTX there? There you go, VTX down here. Yeah, so all you would do, you've got your ground and your positive on the PDB. You could connect them up here if you want to, right? But I like to connect them to the PDB, and then just one wire would go straight to your VTX. Same with the camera, you've got your ground and your 5 volts on the PDB, that first board I showed you, and then your one wire would connect here for your video camera, and that's it on that bit. Now over here, depending on which type of let's just go around again, let's get dizzy. Right, yeah, we'll come back to this bit for the LEDs. Now the LEDs, when you're connecting them up, this almost speaks for itself as you look here. Right, the rating on the top, just in case you don't know, the rating on the top represents these top pads, and the rating on the bottom speaks for itself, the bottom pads. So on the top you've got your ground, your 5 volts and your LED, so that would be ground there, 5 volts, LED. Underneath 3S, which we won't be using, remember what we just talked about earlier about wiring up. Alright, but yeah, then you've got your 5 volts and your buzz minus, which I will be using. RX4, TX4, these are spare UARCs, right, which I'll talk about more when we get round to the GPS, right, and actually wiring up the VTX, because you will need a UARC for the VTX, right, for the smart audio. But I'll come back to that. I'm not going to do it all at the same time. I'll come back to that later in the video. Okay then, back to the build. And we're back. Like I said, you've just looked at the flight control board. I've just moved that wire in a slightly different position. Right, I've already measured this section out. Right, so I knew how long I needed my cables for my ESCs. Alright, now this bit might shock you. I told you about them rubber grommets that go over them screws. But this bit might shock you, right, because a lot of people use 30 amp ESCs or 40 amp ESCs. Me, I just use 25 amp. I use a SPEDEC 25 amp ESC. I've mentioned them a few times. They are great ESCs, right, because I'm not racing and I'm not pushing it too much. I'm just a freestyle pilot, so I don't need, right. I've even built a 5-inch quad just using 12 amp ESCs and they worked great, right. But these SPEDEC 25 amp ESCs are just at the sweet spot for me. Right, so yeah, this will go on here, right, and the standoffs obviously speak for themselves, right, for your flight control board. Right, however, that's the wrong word, I won't cut it out, but obviously I will need my battery cable, but I haven't soldered it on yet because I need to measure how much I actually want sticking out and where I want it to cut. Right, so that's why I haven't. I'll just put loosely to hold that in place the standoff on there and one on there, just to hold it in place loosely. Yeah, I want to know, because unlike having the cable running from the back, it's coming sideways, so this will be running across. That's why I've already put a big blob of solder, right, on the connectors, because it will be running sideways, right. So I want plenty of room. So let's see how far we need this to go then. That'll be too much actually. I think that there will be fine. So if I just turn that round there, maybe too much, maybe a bit less. I'm going to be able to move it round a bit if I have to. Actually, yeah, I'd rather have too much, because you can always cut a bit more off later on, but you can't add it, if you know what I mean. But depending which way I want the battery, might want the battery going that way, I might want the battery going that way, so I want to leave enough room for the battery to wiggle about. So I think that will do it nicely. So the red will be there, and we'll give it a snip, a marker so to speak, and the black, the ground, will be a little bit longer. Right, and take that out of there again, and just trim that off now. Right, I usually keep little bits of wire, but these are too small, so I definitely don't need them. Right, get yourself one of these. They are bloody awesome. Right, for threading your thick wires, especially if you have it tightened up properly. There you go, that's one. That's two. You've also got for smaller wires and everything, but these electronic clippers, whatever you want to call them, cutters, right, are bloody awesome. Right, all I'm going to do now is tin these cables, right, solder them onto that pad, and slide that through, and that's that bit done. Okay, right, jump shot. Right then pilots, we're back. Flight control, that's in, that's soldered on, the power cable and everything, that's done. The flight control board, I think I mentioned it, but to connect it up there's a little ribbon cable. As I said earlier, you don't have to use it though, right? You can solder straight to the PDB, and on this side underneath the ribbon cable, I hope you can see that, you'll see your S1, S2, S3, so on and so on. However, if you've got a ribbon cable and it works, you may as well use it. Right, before I put that in, actually I've got a couple more jobs to do here. Right, this is for my receiver, my S-bus. Now my S-bus wire I'm not happy with, it's a little bit, I think it's going to snap any minute, so I'm going to replace my S-bus wire. Right, the buzzer wire I'll have to change round because I've decided to use this LED one with a buzzer. This is set up for a Hellgate buzzer, but I'll be swapping this round because these LEDs have a buzzer in and I've decided to use it. So I'll be taking these wires off and soldering these buzzer wires on. Talking about the buzzer, there's no instructions, so I'll leave a little picture up, right, which you should be seeing now, which shows you where they ground, and the green wire is for your battery minus and the yellow wire is for your LED, right, and your red and your black speaks for itself, 5 volts. Right, so I'm just going to swap this over, right, plug in the ribbon cable, right, and solder these 2 black wires from the VTX straight onto the PDB, the 10 volts and the ground, what I've already talked about. I'm not going to leave the video running, right, because you don't need to see me soldering, right, but I want to talk you through what I'm doing, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I've changed my S-bus wire, right, now I've also soldered up the 10 volt and the ground to the PDB for the VTX. Now I'm just going to connect up the flight control board. It's a bit fiddly, but the little black clip, as I believe I showed you earlier, and sorry, there you go. Yeah, a little black clip there, you push forward, little black clip there, you push forward. And this little ribbon cable, alright, you want the numbers and the letters on the ribbon cable, right, bent on the inside as you fold it over. So let's just gently slide it in. It's a bit fiddly, especially when you got wires all over the place, but yeah, just slide it in. I'll just have to push it in with my fingers a bit, get it in that slot. There you go, it's in. And when it's in, them little black tabs, you just push them down to lock it in place. Right, don't use a metal screwdriver like I'm doing, right, because if your hand slips you're going to short stuff, you're going to cut stuff, but I can't get my fingers in there. Yeah, that one's in nice and tight. Just move over to this side, hope my head's not in shot. Yeah, it's one of them do as I say, not as I do. Don't use a metal tool. I usually use my lollipop stick for things like this, but can't find it. Oh, as he finds it. Right, now we've got a bit of a messy job here at the moment. Right, cables all over the bloody place. It looks a mess. Ignore these are just for the motors. So we have to start tidying stuff up a bit. And the first thing I want to do is plug my FPV camera in. That'll tidy these wires up a bit. So I'll just zoom out a little bit for you. Wait, wrong way. Right, just get my FPV camera plugged in. This is where I said I just found my lollipop stick. Oops. Fiddly jobs. That's why you use something like a lollipop stick, so that if you slip you don't go straight through your bloody wires like I would have done then. Just making sure it's in nice and tight. Yes. Right, let's start to tidy this up a little bit then, make it a bit neater. Right, that's for my VTX. Make sure them power cables are right down. VTX coming out the back. Just have to pick it up, yeah, so I know everything's where I need it to be. Yeah, that looks okay. Right, now I've got another couple of these little standoffs here, right, which I was going to use to fasten, to put, can't get my words out, to put this supporting beam on, but actually I think it will fit just on there. Will it? No, there's no thread, so I'm going to have to use these little supporting beams, little spacers, standoffs, but I've cut them down shorter because we are running out of space, so I've nipped the edge off, as you can see, and just made them really short. These are the fiddly jobs. Look, once I've got them in, right, I can sit it down and relax again now. Gonna put a couple of nuts on that side. Right, that's for my S-bus. We've just lost the ground, but still, that's for my S-bus. And the ground needs soldering back on again. Right, we haven't even looked at, we haven't even got the buzzer connected up yet, the GPS or anything, right? So we're just doing it in stages. Right, we've got this far. I'll tell you what, I'll just finish this off, move the S-bus wires out up there. My VTX is going to fit. I'll tell you what, I'll have my VTX underneath like that. That'll all still fit, yeah, that's all still level, so my VTX will be underneath. Just looking for a couple of nuts, standoff nuts. Bloody hell. Yeah, right. Just check the bottom plate will still fit flush. Just. Just. And when I say just, I mean just. That's tight. Right, so I need to solder up me. I can't get me bloody words out here. I'm going to take this off again now. I just wanted to check that. What I need to do though is solder up my LEDs and buzzer. I'm saving the GPS till last, right? Because well, to be quite honest, it's the easiest thing to connect up. Right, down here I've got a 5 volt. There you go. I've got a 5 volt pad, a ground, TX1, RX1. That's for my GPS. It's all set up ready for my GPS. Alright, but we'll come back to that. But yeah, we're nearly got the main guts of it. Right, before anything else, these wires are really bugging me. So I'm going to get these soldered up. Right. And then we're getting pretty close actually, so at this point I'm going to call it a day and I'll finish it all off completely in the next part. Okay then, thanks for watching, cheers.